I didn't see the pines until I was already a man, and to me it was nothing but blinding.
It was... I'm annoyed that actually got captured, because now I have to use that, despite the fact that it was so stretched.
No, you
That
don't.
was stretched so...
I didn't realize you started it.
Hey, you get to surprise me. I got to surprise you.
Well,
Would you like to furnish us with a better one? Because I'd kind of like you to. Oh, that's useful. This actually has a little indicator. Not that it'll help, because that won't be visible either. I was going to say, as far as a first reaction goes, it's a little... I can't quite decide. It's hipstery, but also...
It's hipstery in the best way.
Not the best way.
No, I was saying...
It has a very Art Deco-y vibe, which I'm not opposed to, with like the repeated geometric... Like, this looks like a wallpaper.
Yeah, but
there's something about this feels a little too austere. It's very minimalist. Very true. But not in the sophisticated minimalism.
No, that's true.
In a bit of
almost is like
the Arial Narrow...
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm getting weirdly... I don't know. There's just something about this border. I'm
almost getting like Nordic vibes.
I'm not. I was gonna go to our favorite place. I was gonna get. This looks like some kind of arcane. This looks like a drawing room in some fancy rich person's house.
Sure.
Don't you get it? Like this, just because the wallpaper and then whatever this is, and that just looks like some sort of piece of modern art. I don't know. I have no clue what this is.
So we're going into this fairly blind.
This was your idea, so if this backfires, I'm blaming you.
We are playing Pine. This was your idea.
It's not a great name, I'll start off.
Well, that is certainly true.
So nondescript.
But I also think that actually can play to its advantage.
It's pretty in its own way, though. My only concern is I don't know how much of a tutorial there's going to be at the beginning, so this whole thing might be... Congregate is a publisher I'm familiar with, but I can't think of the context. Are they? Oh, we might have to look this up. Oh, that is
a terrible.
That is a hoodwinked bird.
That
is a hoodwinked bird. Okay, you're gonna have to look up Congregate because it's clearly stylized. I knew that. I mean, it's very stylized. You're gonna have to look this up. Congregate may or may not be. No. I was going to say they may or may not be this War of Mine people, and now I'm pretty confident that they're not, but I know that there's someone... They're a group I know of.
Well, I mean...
And I feel like we've even done something from them before.
You're on a journey with us today.
Hugh. Oh, no, please don't tell me they'll be speaking Simlish. Or is that my name? Is my name Hugh, or is that... Ooh. Okay, so it's responsive. It does... I mean, the character designs are a little bit weird... But the backgrounds and stuff are quite
the actual world is fairly...
The animations are a little bit odd. I seem to have pogo legs. Like I don't actually make that jump. I just sort of go into the air. I'm going to see what happens if I jump off a cliff. Or even if they'll let me do that. Well, they will. Oh, and I can phase into the rocks. I have no clue what the budget or sort of sophistication of this is. The fact that I phase into rocks when I die seems to mean that it was a fairly indie thing. But Congregate, I don't think, is a small company. Do you know who they are yet?
Well, I'm pulling up there. I mean...
Can I reach things like that? Oh, hi. Who's you?
Well, apparently it shut down, so that's not positive.
Congregate the studio, or...?
They went under during COVID.
Oh, that's actually more sad, because that doesn't mean that they were a bad company, necessarily. Okay, so they're pulling Zelda rules where nobody actually speaks, they just give tech... Oh, no, they do have a bit of a Simlish thing.
He said, oh, hi, Hugh. What do you...
I don't think they're saying the words they're saying.
Maybe. It's the... Oh.
Yeah, they're...
Okay.
So what are they saying?
Apparently it's a...
Are they in Newgrounds?
It's like open broadcast for video games. Like
I have no clue what that means. Open broadcast?
Like public broadcasting.
Like PBS type? Is it a Newgrounds thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little...
Is that why I know them? Is it just because they were around in the Newgrounds days? That's even all the more sad that they're gone, then.
It's one of those things where you can, like, upload a game to Congregate. Like, you can go
So it is exactly Newgrounds.
Yeah.
I thought Newgrounds was a publisher. I thought Congregate was a publisher that was just on Newgrounds a lot. Huh.
It's founded in 2006 as a web gaming destination and the vision creating an open platform for indie games.
Okay, so it is Newgrounds, but... Well, then I'm not sure what I could have... There was a specific thing in my mind that I thought they had actually made, but maybe that was just another thing. So our name is actually Hugh. I'm not going to lie, this is an appealing art style. I don't love the characters. They look a little bit bulbous.
So, popular games from...
But the actual... this is quite pretty. I'm liking the lighting, I suppose. It's also very nice to have a machine that can run things like this. Like, had you said when you first were like, oh, what's that? And I was like, oh, I just downloaded it because I have no clue what it is. Because this was another freebie on Epic Games. And then you were like, we should do that because we know nothing about it. And I didn't even think that I had to worry about whether or not this machine could run it because thankfully I am beyond such worries. But I am, however, concerned that it may not be a good thing to record because who knows what it's even about and if we'll get through the beginning. Resources, we just... more resources for tree houses. I don't even know who we are and what we're doing.
It's got a little bit of a if Animal Crossing had people.
Animal Crossing's not this pretty. I mean, maybe that's because it's a DS thing. Like, this is actually...
Animal Crossing's not just strictly DS. It's come all kinds of places.
It's largely...
It was on the Wii. It's now on the Nintendo... what is it called? The Switch?
Yes. The commonality here is that none of them have a lot of processing power.
Okay.
There's a reason they looked the way they looked, and they were not this nice. Now, I'm not getting the vibe yet that it will be the same kinds of activities as Animal Crossing. I hope. Not. Oh, okay, graves. Graveyards. Can I talk to you? I don't like the name Q for a
Just checking on the death stones. Okay.
You want to buy some death stones?
Are they going to jump out and go boogie boo?
Okay, I got to talk to people about stuff.
You don't want to sell me death stones. You want to go.
The treehouse done, but we need some stuff. Gary or Jerry, I'm not sure. Whoa, stiff.
And Gary and Jerry are so different than Larry.
All right, so they're clearly playing a game here. Stiff rope and stuff cloth?
Stuff cloth?
I think they're being silly on purpose.
I sure hope so.
But that's a little... Marwood, stiff rope, stuff cloth. Okay, so they're clearly being a little bit silly. I don't know. It's not... I don't know. It's not a ugly thing. I think the characters
you can actually
animate a little bit funkily.
Is that a different mechanic?
Yeah, you're just shifting. But, well, that's a nice touch. Your characters do slow down from running to walking. That's a nice little attention to detail. I don't know how pretentious I can be about this. Until the story actually gets in, I'm not sure I'm going to have much to say. This dude's beard is something. I need stiff rope, as opposed to that limp rope. This was your idea.
Well, I mean, it was just worth at least looking into. Well,
it certainly is attractive I'm a sucker for this kind of. Would you call this cell shaded? I don't think it is, but I don't know what else to call it.
Huh. Why is that, do you think?
I don't know.
Is it just a familiarity thing?
Well, because cel-shaded, I think a defining characteristic of cel-shaded, and I could be very wrong, I've received an idea. This is my idea about what cel-shaded means.
This is your idea? They're just telling you.
This is your idea. All right, so I take some wood. I doubt 2 logs are going to be enough, but hey, I'll take them. I talk to you.
This is the beginning of the game, so it's probably like, this is plenty enough for building a treehouse.
Yeah, who knows? I believe one of the characteristics of cel-shaded is it's kind of the Borderlands and or Walking Dead, which I believe are the two most famous, where there are actually like outlines and harsh definitions to the characters, but they still have. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but like, have you ever actually seen the pictures of people who have done cosplays of characters from that? Like, especially I've seen a lot of them of characters from Walking Dead where they actually have like they do makeup that makes like they give themselves the weird lines around their features, and then it's really kind of surprising. And they wear like they have clothes that they've specifically painted creases on. It's like it's weird looking, but that it's actually quite startling how well the effect is pulled off.
Yeah.
I think that's the definition. Oh, whoa, okay. This mouse sensitivity is a little high. Marrow hay, gravel moss. Okay, whatever. I'll play along. This I don't know. It may be really well. I tend to associate with cell shading, which maybe isn't fair. Is just this kind of hyper saturated colors, sort of simplistic.
Now, is there much crossover as far as the developers / I guess artists involved in video games and the
I mean, it runs like kind of runs smoothly. I can say that much.
Animators that are responsible for various, feature-length films and things like that. I mean, like
I wouldn't know.
Like, I wonder how often those. I imagine, are they two separate spheres of expertise, or do you think?
I don't think they're separate spheres of expertise. I think it's more of a matter of specialization. Like, I think the principles of animation are largely the same.
Right.
I suppose there's going to be the crucial difference would be an animator gets to definitively say this is how this sequence goes, whereas in a video game context you have to. The character has to, or the player has to control it. Therefore, you can't dictate. Like, this is what a character does, I guess, except in a cutscene. So part of it is like the scripting of. Well, it's like for the fact that I can walk and then I run and then I can stop. Well, no, because that would still be scripted, or that would still be fixed. Like the fact that I can run and then I slow down and he slows down and I stop and he sort of his arms rest.
Yeah, but my point is mocap in that like you get the general.
But mocap would be. Is a fixed action. It's only going to recreate what the actor does.
Well, within your character, that's true, because your body mechanics only move one specific way.
You could use it for the inspiration, but my point is part of it is the scripting that says this character has to do what I tell it, which means the animators don't get to say, it starts like this and does this. It's like they have to make it, here's the running animation, and it has to transition into the walking, and then
but I'm saying once they do that probably has to be modeled in some regard to say because they map it out on
that depends on how strict they're going to be.
I'm just saying algorithmically, if that's
is that all I needed?
What it is?
Well, that's probably true. The animators may not be doing anything different. It might just be up to the 3D, coders.
Right, exactly. It's the kind of
but even then, I think
stop points.
There has to be some kind of like transition, like the fact that I can sort of cheat, where if I do this, he never actually takes a full step. It's like
that's why you're getting it exactly what I'm saying. Like, though
I imagine an animator didn't have anything to do with that. That was probably just the coders going. If the player does these bizarre inputs, we kind of have to,
scoot him along.
Because you can't obviously make a custom animation for every possible transition.
Right, that's what I mean.
It's like you can make it where, yes, if they hold running and then they stop, he performs the very simple stop animation.
Well, case in point.
But if he does some kind of weird skitsy thing, it's going to look skitsy.
Right. Case in point, it used to be back in early animations of games, you had like the real hard walls. Where this is the borders of... Yes, but I'm just saying it's the borders of the game or whatever. Whereas now, you're jumping over a rock. Typically, they try to at least give the rock some sort of shape so that your character's
hitboxes, let's have a look at what kind of hitboxes we're dealing with here. Like, I bet you this edge of this rock is not as... Yeah, it's probably still just a big box. Oh, well, it's got a slight bevel to it.
Hit hut.
Yeah, like I'm standing. I'm standing on thin air because technically, but I'm standing lower than the surface of the rock. Which, and then when there's a word for that.
It's called.
No, there's
elevation.
It's a coding word where it's.
Oh, okay.
It's not called. Dang it! I know I've heard it, and I would recognize it if I heard it again. But like, there's specific code that you can say. Like I've seen it in games where the physics are deliberately wonky, like some of the weird joke games that have come out, like the ones that are all physics simulators that are all wacky, where it's like you could theoretically walk up any surface that isn't perfectly 90 degrees because unless you specify an angle at which the character can't walk. It's called, I want to say clipping, and of course I know that that's not it, but it's something similar to that. Where it's, I don't know. What's a word? I'm getting to the end of my game development knowledge, so I can't say anything more insightful.
Well, what I was kind of getting at is,
I also don't have a quest marker anymore.
Interesting that, and almost intentional.
Okay, so there's crafting.
Guide conversation.
Oh no! I have to. Oh no!
This is just a extrapolated Minecraft.
So because I realized the stuff I collected isn't what they need, and that's because I have to craft what they need. Well, I have this. Need to create. Well,
hold it.
I don't like when you make me hold things.
I don't like holding things. That's interesting because I love holding things.
Because if you're just let me push a button.
They know when to hold it and they know when to let it go.
Why would you make me do that? Because it doesn't serve a purpose. Like I can understand in certain situations.
The E button. I mean,
well, it's like I'm not even gonna carry on with what you're going on with. Okay, so wrist rope isn't enough. I need stiff rope because wrist rope is too limp. You got limp wrist rope.
I tried to tell you to hold E.
I'm just saying, in a certain context where it's like, oh, you're in a battle and you're trying to heal your friend, it's like, yeah, they're going to make you hold it because that means it would be too easy otherwise. But I'm in the pause screen. Do I have to hold buttons in the pause screen?
I miss the day and age in games that was a little more like
so in order to
early Mario Party where it was like, no.
Oh, I have this.
In order to make it hard to heal your friend, we're going to have you rapidly push A.
I don't like that. Just let me push a button. Unless it's relevant to the context.
It is.
No, it isn't. In that kind of situation where it's, in the Mario Party pump up the balloon or something, it makes sense that you'd make them pump it several times as if it's to replicate it. But it's the pause menu. What are you attempting to replicate? I assure you holding something for 4 seconds is not how wood is created. Okay, so they speak some kind of Simlish, which is wacky to me. I have no clue what the plot of this even is. As far as I know, we're just a village people.
The worst Simlish you ever see is...
Well, it's in The Sims.
No, is in Banjo-Kazooie.
No, because that doesn't even...
It totally counts, and it's horrid.
It does not at all, because it's literally a single noise. It alternates between two noises. That I don't think counts. Simlish is attempting to come across as a language. Like, they deliberately...
Oh!
It's like, yeah, they exclaim, and they say things, and they get mad, and they cry, and it's like they try to make it sound real. Whereas Banjo-Kazooie was deliberately just going, it's an animal. This is an animal noise. You get it, right? Well, yeah, ground cone. Grand cone.
Ground cone. Well, what I was getting at
was... Who's this? What are you... Oh, was how... I am fairly chiseled. Whoa.
This guy's not impressed.
He's not... Dude, look at my freaking elbows. They're bulging.
Yeah, but that just means you're bony.
Yeah, but look at that. I got my back of the arm.
Your lats are...
You can't...
It's a lat.
No, not on your arms. Your lats are on your back. Carry logs around all day.
Triceps.
Yeah, that sure. But they're like they're defined. They got the curve and the I don't know.
He likes dipping.
Yeah, he does a lot of those.
He works out too. Separate from the dip.
Separate from the dip, he does. Okay.
What I was getting at was, I wonder how much crossover between, again, animation and games and animation and movies, because, and this is what I was getting at, is really that
but then again,
I found out recently that, because...
Oh, I got to go over there.
So
see, like, this is
going to be a bit of a
vista. I get to see
difficult and
there.
Slightly...
I'm going to sit on this guy's bed.
Seemingly unrelated rabbit trail, but just go there with me. It's a tangential kind of connection. But
I have no clue what I just did. What am I doing?
In the opposite manner of the fact that radio changed who...
Radio killed the video star.
Yeah, well, it's that whole it's kind of the concept of there was not a lot of crossover between those, industries, and when radio was the thing, didn't matter whether you were ugly as sin. If people liked your voice, then great.
It's even the plot of Singing in the Rain.
Well, yeah, it's vice versa. Back in the day when they didn't speak, exactly.
I actually found out that back in the day, I shouldn't say most, but the reason why audio video was such a huge thing is that a lot of the famous actors in Hollywood were foreign and thus didn't speak English very well. So they lost their jobs when it was like, oh, now you actually have to speak, and they're like, they have either they couldn't speak English or they had really thick accents that was like, okay, well now we can't, because a lot of them came from sort of old European stage tradition.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
That's sad.
Even opera at times. I'm sure.
Magirian. Always keep. So okay, so they're implying that we will at some point adventure. That hasn't started yet.
Always keep an eye on your implying they need to. You need to be making sure it's not depleting.
It's one of them types.
See, it's
okay. To hold Q to pin a food item and eat it. Pin a food item. Consume and pin. Only pin. Okay, I just pinned it. I pinned it up in the top corner.
Put it. Now you can
on my face.
No, pin it to X, and then you can eat it.
Pin it to
with X.
Oh no, I pin it. Okay, I pin it, and then I push Q again. So I have to hold Q to select what's pinned, and I press Q to eat, and that just means I ate it when I don't even know if I need it. How do I know when I'm hungry?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's the blue bar up there.
Well, energy. I guess food is usually energy.
Anyway, so in contrast to that, I found out that, and I'm realizing this as I'm
flowers.
I've always been more interested in audiobooks / audio kind of podcasts than you, I would argue.
I listen to more podcasts than you, but you probably listen to more audiobooks than me.
More.
That's also maybe an element of the job.
Narrative podcast, I would argue.
I do not.
See, that's what I mean.
I listen to factual
right. I mean, podcasts. I have those certainly, but I'm just saying, I listen to more by comparison to you.
I don't have a problem with audiobooks. It's just okay. Well, we've run across our first graphical struggle here. I'm not sure if I don't think that's the computer's fault.
Maybe you're cutting the grass.
I don't think. Well, no, because it's also growing back. Whoop! I'm crapping so much.
That's what happens when you cut the grass, and then you cut it again.
I cut the grass, and then I take a huge dump. And then it fertilizes the ground so thoroughly that the grass spurts back in. Look.
I'm not seeing the dump.
I cut the grass, and then I take a dump.
Sit on the toilet.
And then the ground is so fertilized that grass sprouts up instantaneously.
Anyway, the reason I was bringing that up is because I found there's a lot of famous actors that you would recognize in cinema that are now moving over to doing narrative audiobook. As part of the voiceovers. But is that a
gimmick?
It's not, though.
It is, I think.
It's not.
Because here's the thing. A lot of famous actors also do video game voiceover, and nobody ever notices.
Well...
Because it turns out...
Isn't that a credit more to their...
No.
No?
Because the problem is they market these games as, this person's in it.
No, see,
and
if
then
you do
play
that...
it, and you're like, who is that person?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is... If they literally just are the main character, but it's not presented that way,
that's the main pull. Why would you do... Because, you're going to have to pay them a whole lot more because they're used to getting paid a whole lot more. Voice acting is not a lucrative community.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Well, I suppose it depends on the thing, but, games and anime voice actors... Well, I suppose anime is different because it's dubbed, and therefore it's got the market is going to be less interested in that anyways. But I don't think video game guys make huge money.
Well, they may not make huge money. I'm just saying...
Whereas if there's an actor, especially a famous actor that could actually market a game, which is what they do, it's like they're not going to have they're going to have to pay so much more than
that's maybe true, but I'm just... In the same way that people do act in video game...
Right mouse button.
Bow? Oh, it's a slingshot. Really? This is
of
too
course they're doing
Zelda.
That I made that. Okay. Right mouse button.
Do you have to hold it?
Do I not have it?
Is it X?
Do I not actually have one yet?
Do you have to install it somehow?
Do I have to install it? Go into the game files and install
No, I was meaning like
install
equip it. That's what I said.
Slingshot.exe.
.exe.
Okay, so the flowers occasionally spurting in seems to be the one graphical glitch we've encountered, and I don't really think that's my computer's fault. It's not like it's having an issue. Okay, did I get the thing from you, dude? Because I don't think I have it. Oh, I can do some capoeira, though. Oh, I'm eating food. I don't need to eat food.
You're getting some fight, you just go, hey, wait a minute.
Okay, hang on a second. You agree with me. This is the left mouse button.
Are we seriously Okay, that's the left you're calling it?
No, what?
You just pointed to the right.
This is the left mouse button.
Oh, yes, it is.
The right mouse
said
button.
Left and you pointed to the right.
Well, okay, so now we've got our terms clear. Right mouse button, now you can't speak. Right mouse button to draw a ranged weapon, and left, it's not.
Use right.
Do I not have something with which to... X is being highlighted. What does X do for me? X toggles between two inventory slots. See, that's the kind of useful information I need, pal. I'm not even holding this right. Can I shoot my friend? Oh, he's a ghost. I can use this thing. It's very Zelda-y. I mean, that's not really a demerit given the standard that Zelda is in the games. I mean, you're at least copying off of a well-trodden path.
Sure.
You're going to have to copy something in the early stages.
So what I'm getting at is with movie actors doing that within video games and now within audiobooks, it's intriguing to me.
Is it like a radio play type audiobook where there's actors playing? See, I don't like those kinds of audiobooks anyways, if I'm honest.
Well, that's fine. I'm just saying
so that might be why I don't come across those.
I prefer interestingly enough, though, So we've been, obviously you and I have been recently watching Peaky Blinders, and I recently came across an audiobook where Cillian Murphy was in it. And I was like... As an actor or as like the narrator? As a voice actor. And I was like, that's interesting.
Maybe it's, I don't know, radio play, it's almost different than an audiobook. Because to me, an audiobook, I think we talked about it before, it's like, I like it when it's as if someone was reading it to you. So it's one person... They can do voices if they so choose. You don't think that you would have
enjoyed the radio era where you sat around
I might have because I would have had no frame of reference, so it probably would have been fine.
To me, that's more engaging because you're using personality, or you're using imagination rather than watching something that somebody else is.
Yeah, but you're using more imagination when it's one person because you have to play along. Well, they're telling you the story, they're putting on voices, they're describing things, and you have to play along as much. It's doing more of the work for you to have it be a production with sound effects and all this other stuff. It's like, you're making me do more of the work now. Am I going to beat my friend senseless? Yeah, I suppose, yes. And if your hand behind your head forbid, then release. Yes, I know how the power strike works. I too played Zelda. Wait until it glows. Everyone knows this. Oh, and we could kick in between attacks. Slimy white creatures, eh? This game's got a political bias.
What? Wow.
These white men are dangerous. How do I kick? Press F to kick.
They're different from us, which means they can't be trusted.
What if we combine dashes and swings? Endless possibilities. I don't know how to dash. Ooh, okay, like that. Quickly tap, then left mouse button. Ooh, soft glass. That's not the way glass is. Soft glass. It's that fun kind of glass that won't cut you, kids. Run with it.
Soft glass.
Quickly tap left shift and then left mouse.
You don't even have to heat it up in order to mold it. Just
left shift and left mouse button. At the same time or one after the other? Or do I have to be moving while I do it? Oh. Okay. I don't think I did that right, but... Quickly tap left shift. Oh, okay, so I have to... What? No, hang on, I only did it once. You have to let me make sure I'm doing it right. Okay, so my friend's a total doof.
Here's where they have a cave troll.
Well, clear. Okay, but I need to know what I did. Okay, so I'm supposed to be doing that. But it doesn't do that every time I press that. It only does that when I'm facing the other way. Hang on. Okay, but... Okay, so it's very sensitive. It's very picky about what constitutes a quick tap. So that's what they mean. I actually have to wait until that animation starts and then do that. I gotta go find my friend who's a doofus and got himself stuck behind rocks. Mom. I lost my balance and fell into rocks.
Anyway, I just thought that was an intriguing thing that he ended up being in that, and I don't know.
I see. I thought if you had told me Cillian Murphy narrated an audiobook, I'd probably be much more interested. Because to me, it's like, it would be like, oh, Cillian Murphy's reading me a story. That would be kind of cool.
I don't have a problem with just having a one narrator, or left, obviously, right. Or even just reading by myself and not having any sort of. But I'm just saying, I think because of the fact that I've always been intrigued with the era of radio, like just the idea that I have.
I feel like I would struggle.
Why?
I mean, again, I would
because
struggle.
It was a social event. The fact that families would listen to
if we went back to it now, I would have a problem.
Well, certainly everyone would.
Well, but that's my point. Like because that I have a better frame of reference now. I don't. So the code was left, right. Konami's been here. I'm exhausted from firing a slingshot. What kind of a dweeb am I?
One who has food you should eat.
Oh, apparently that's true. Press my Q for munch.
Q for munch.
The Q is for munch.
Anyway,
I don't know.
I thought that was a good discussion.
I suppose again, I would say that had I been alive and it was all that we had, I'd probably have been all about it because as evidenced by the fact that I enjoy weird games that I've never played before and look kind of funky. I'm apparently the kind of person who would have been interested in that. I'd be like, oh, look at this new method of storytelling. Because that's basically what games are now.
Right.
So maybe I would have. But now that we've got better things, if that was all I had, I would get used to it, I'm sure. It would not be that different from a podcast. So
isn't it interesting in a different way? Like, for instance, my kids listen to audiobooks that have various characters and narrations and things like that. In the car, typically, because I don't always want them consuming a medium that, again, doesn't demand anything of their... I think that's the real tragedy in our modern era, especially with streaming and all this other stuff, is that there's no requirement of your imagination at all. In fact, I would argue that that's what's made a lot of art or a lot of cinematic production.
I don't think that's the reason. I think ideological.
That's certainly a part of it. I'm just saying it's part of it. Seems that part of the contribution of
got no arms. Well, that guy's got the arm. That's why he's the leader. He's the only guy with the arm.
They share the arm. What is it? He has the talking arm.
It's the what do we have here? We've got the I can't think of the word. I don't know. I was going to say something rather untoward anyway, so... It's going to be a blind leading the blind parallel, but I couldn't think of the right word. It's the one-armed leading the no-armed. It's a beefy arm for all... I mean, that's not only is it the arm, he's got the chest game, too. He doesn't skip upper body day. Yeah, right there.
Sorry,
the best.
The concept to me.
You mean to tell me no one's been in this cave that was like 50 feet from our treehouse?
The concept to me is that the when art had to and was required to be interacted with, there was a little bit more of a, and we talked about this as far as objective.
Books are like the oldest form of.
They are, and I agree. That's what I'm suggesting. They still require
that. Games even do. I would say.
That's what I'm saying. Now,
well, then what are you?
Hush your mouth and let me finish. So what I'm getting at is that I think we've talked about like what art actually consists of, and there's a part of it that I think when you have to participate more. You're less tolerant, and you're less, or I suppose you're more intolerant to to crappy art.
Well, because at that point it actually demeans you.
Well, not just demeans you, but also it doesn't give your mind a lot to work with as far as creativity. Yeah. You. Well, I mean, and it's certainly what's happened with. I don't know. Were we talking about that whole idea of like commercials that literally from early Apple days where it was like, hey, this is, you can create great things on this, and you can, even early Microsoft days where it was like, look at all the things you could accomplish with this, versus then it became in like the early 2000s, it was like, it looks cool. It's got a big camera.
It looked good.
It's like it's significantly
HB smooth, shiny, magpie brain.
These ones have big, bright colors.
Put in your nest. Like, put in your goblin horde, because we all know that's what you are.
So they definitely have dumbed down their clientele, certainly, over years. But I just think you had less room to not...
So I'm getting the vibe that we're going to have a Moana sort of plot here. I'm just calling that out now because I'd like to...
Are you sure it has nothing to do with the fact that they all look Polynesian of some...
I wasn't going to make that because that now means you're the racial stereotyper and not me. So you can get the hate mail.
You can get the hate mail.
I'll forward it to you.
And I will simply furnish a picture of them and say, you want to tell me again?
I thought you were going to say something far more significant.
That was significant.
I'll furnish a picture of what?
Of the character.
Oh, see, I wasn't thinking you meant that. I was thinking...
What were you thinking?
I'll furnish a picture of a dump in a pot or something. Saying this is my opinion.
Far more clever.
Well, that's what I thought. Oh, story time. We are a small community. We're going to die out in 2 generations. Oh, that dude is giving her a death glare.
I thought you said I could give this speech.
The audacity.
Look at him.
Okay, no, hang on. He was just really focused on his turn. He's got
now she's really engaged.
He's got dreads in his beard. Well, they're just constantly interrupting. It took a lot of work. Our new house. So we all live in this house? I have several questions.
Namely, are we all related?
Because in that case, it's going to be 1 generation before we all die out.
Because in that case, I'm going to have to say no to that. No, I guess what I'm getting at is that is where the temptation, at least, certainly came in to say, we're going to make things easy. Everything became convenient. Again, it was
I still think it might be a symptom. I don't think that's the cause.
It's a symptom, but it's certainly propelled itself further, is what I'm saying. Like, it's gotten worse over years.
Well, again, because I think the cultural root of that problem is what's gotten worse.
But I feel like your argument is cart before the horse.
But like books still get made. Books are the kinds of things that require that.
But I'm just saying
games require that to another extent.
No,
music still requires that.
Music does,
and
require
that stuff that still gets produced. So it's not like those things aren't existing.
Well, and
it's because greedy people want to just. Well, see, that's the kind of thing. Is you go. I saw. There was news. In fact, I read an article because apparently Riot actually purchased a not controlling, which is, I thought, that gave me a lot of respect for them. They basically bought a large chunk of Fortiche stock, which was the actual animation studio that produced Arcane, the actual animation of it.
But
they deliberately bought a non-controlling but significant stock, basically as a way of giving them financial float.
Yeah.
And there was a whole article. I was like, hey, the fact that they did that, I'm like, I respect that they're going, we don't want to just own you.
Yeah.
And then there was actually a statement from the guy at Fortiche basically talking about, it's like, yeah, we've been working with Riot for like the past 10 years, which I didn't know. And they're celebrating, their work together and all that they've been able to do and how it's grown from like 3 people back in 2000, whatever. Uh-oh. Well, that's ironic. The new house we built. What on... Okay, well, what was keeping these trees in the ground? No one has heard of the concept of roots. I just got hit in the head by... Oh, rocks! Bad times. Okay, so trees don't just fall over like dominoes like that. unless we are on a very unhealthy...
In some games they do. What are we looking at here?
Is this an elephant?
Did somebody pull... Okay.
It's gonna suck my face
Still
off.
need to know what that is. I hope it's an elephant. Probably not. Probably something worse.
It's gonna just... It's a face hugger. Oh, it's worse than
an anteater.
It's worse than an elephant. Oh, I guess it's an anteater horse. It looks...
So now they're... Okay.
Oh, hang on. That is a Star Wars creature.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's a tauntaun.
No, tauntauns didn't have those things. That's something from Star Wars, though. I can't think of the name.
Isn't it a tauntaun?
No, tauntauns were the ice ones on Hoth.
I'm pretty sure that the guy that's riding him is the I Have Spoken jet.
No, he was some kind of weird reptile. If anything, this dude's a yordle. But I actually got a little bit like reading this guy.
That's encouraging.
Saying, we've worked with these people and we're so happy that what we created has been so well received. And I'm like, this is a guy who genuinely cares about the stuff that he makes and is deeply committed to art of any variety because that's his life. It's like, this is not just money. This isn't just paying my bills. It's like, this is actually like serious that I believe in and would still do if it was just me and those three guys in our shed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can read that in every word that he's saying. And that's where I just go, we need that. Because that's what's missing is huge corporations saying, well, we'll make money if we produce this. And we just, it comes out of a production line.
But see, it also then speaks to the idea that you have to remember where you came from. Because if you can't do that, you end up becoming Disney.
Yeah.
But
it's always.
Well, I was gonna say Arcane is a good example, but I think it's safe for me thus far to say that in watching Peaky Blinders, I feel like there's an equal level of complexity in that it's drama, but not for drama's sake. It's very much sensible. Like, okay, this is. Yeah. There's turns and twists that aren't predictable. It's very. The characters are dynamic.
I'm picking up stuff I don't think I even need. The trouble I will always have now is any frame of reference is that nothing will ever be as visually stunning as Arcane was. Especially, I don't think anything live action could ever be. I was
quite as gobsmacked.
I don't think anything live action can be just because of how insanely diverse all of it was. Like you actually
diverse
have
how?
Like. I forget. I was watching some person do a sort of breakdown. Oh no! It was that video I sent you of the guy who was basically
with
like
the big knife.
No, it was the guy who I sent it to you because it literally was exactly our opinions. Because the title of the video was "I'm still not over Arcane."
Yeah,
and he basically said,
like, "If you're watching this video,
he had the exact same.
I have no new information.
Yeah,
he had the exact same
about it. Sort of stance and background where it was literally I got into this later than everyone else did, so everyone else was already done talking about it by the time I saw it, so now I need to talk about it, otherwise I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah.
So it was just funny to me from that perspective, but he made the same point, and it's true that you're going every shot and every scene had some bit of nuance that made it different from the others. And it was, they were, you could tell that it was like, we're constantly innovating and seeing what could we do to make this scene more interesting. And that's something you don't get, I think, in a lot of live action stuff because there's a limiting factor. It's like, we can only do what live people can do. And that's, I think, this is why we talked, my opinion is sort of that it made me respect animation way more because it makes you go, oh, you could... Not a lot of people, even Disney, I don't think, experimented as much with animation in the earliest days, of course. Right. But like, since...
Again, they got lazy and forgot
I certainly
where they came
don't
from.
think they've done anything new since they have gone to the 3D fixed model.
Well, in fact, they did
because every character looks the same now. Yeah. Like, Tangled looks like Frozen, looks like Moana, looks like Coco. It's like, yes, they all have different themes, they all have different styles, but all the characters, it's basically, this...
Well, it's the same medium.
Yeah, they don't alter it. Like this
in the
has
same
a
way
unique
Van
style.
Gogh is all similar.
Well, he was
look.
it's all impressionist, but everything still looks. There's still variety. It's like, but
people are gonna string me up for that. But I'm just saying.
Well, but here's
you
what
can
I'm saying.
tell it's Van Gogh.
You could tell this doesn't look like anything Disney's ever made. Because it's very stylized, and it's in a different kind of stylized. Like, Arcane looks very different than any other thing that is 3D animated, because it turns out you can do very different kinds of 3D animation.
Right.
And it just feels like they use the same very generic face shapes and body types, and it's like, okay,
they've gotten lazy, yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, have you seen videos that literally, like, they show that it's like a pull directly from other movies? It's remarkable how many times they just recycle footage.
What does he need? Well, from themselves? Because I've seen
from
the ones
themselves.
But I've seen the ones back in the day where it's like, okay, this shot of Christopher Robin is exactly the same shot of Mowgli.
Right,
it's
that's
like,
what I mean.
That's not exactly laziness, because there's certain things where you go,
it's lazy.
No, because that was back when they still cared. So I don't think it was because they were lazy that they did that. I need some more stiff rope, which is something I have to create. But I think that's more of a matter of reference, where you're going, okay, we're doing this because it's... I still hate that I have to do that. Copying off of yourself isn't a fair criticism, because it's like, we need this character to do this thing, and we've already done this before, so why reinvent the wheel?
Right.
If you're doing something you've already done, which I suppose maybe you could argue that's the problem, is doing something you've already done. But you can't do new things literally all the time. I mean, that you'd run out of steam, I think, eventually.
Yes and no.
It's the right mix of familiar and new.
Correct.
Was this all the stuff?
Why create new music as a musical artist unless you feel like there's new and new things to explore and to experiment with and things like that? You know what I mean? I mean, it's not... Your songs shouldn't sound exactly the same as anybody else or the previous songs that you produced. In the same way that your movies shouldn't be all the same.
Well, but there's
Assassin's Creed is a horrible
but there's a bit of a both. I think there's a place for both. Because, for example, Billy Joel, every album was different, and that was his whole thing. It's like, I want to play with a new kinds of thing, and that's respectable, and it's one of the reasons I like Billy Joel. I also really like Breaking Benjamin, who have sounded the exact same for 15 years.
Yeah,
but they still sound new.
Identical.
Well, exactly. They sound new, but it does definitely sound like Breaking Benjamin. Well, I can absolutely tell.
But my point is that Breaking Benjamin,
exhausted. I need a
their
nut.
band, in each approach of a new song that they're writing, are going to say, well, what can we do differently, or how can we explore new options or ideas in chording and lyrics and whatever.
But they always have the distinctive style. So how can what's causing that? How can they have a distinctive style if you're going to argue that they aren't innovating?
I know, I'm saying they are innovating.
But then how do they have the same style? Because surely, I'm not saying I agree, because I don't think that they're I don't think that they're stale or anything.
No, what I'm getting at is
that I'm saying I appreciate the fact that they don't change much.
Well, and I think you can have a similar pattern without being exactly the same.
Well, I mean, I suppose it's the question of, do you have an artist who's... Well, I would argue Van Gogh's stuff always looks the same, but it's always a different painting. Whereas there are some artists who are like, I'm going to try a completely different style, and it'll be very different than anything I've ever done.
Right.
I don't know how to get in here. It told me to use a key. Do I have a key? Glossary. What is a key? I don't have a...
It says here, key.
I don't have a key? I don't think.
It's something much more better. It is a glossary of a key. Anyway, I'm curious to see how that develops, because as audiobooks and as those types of things get more, they're seeming to, based on at least what I know of how Audible's doing and some various other things.
Did you actually give me a key?
To attract more traction with, people like actors and things of that nature. And so you're just going, okay, well, that's kind of a interesting, addition to what wasn't there before. And then Yeah, I don't know. Because it was like early on in the industry, it was a little bit like the niche kind of, okay, only the people that are...
Yeah, it was a bit, no one did it.
Right.
I don't know.
And it's become more mainstream, which has it's all, you know what it's like? And I'm gonna compare this a bit to population growth, if I can.
Well, these glow in a red way, which is odd. I don't know what to... It's telling me to use a key, which I don't appear to have. Do I have to create a key? I tried that. Oh. Do I have to craft a key?
Using mainly spoons. That's just a shiv at that point. You're picking the lock with.
Whoa.
What?
Great key graphite. Well, that's so unbelievably silly. But that still doesn't tell me how to do it. I have key graphite. What can I do with key graphite?
When compressed, so you just shove it into the slot.
Stick it between my thighs. Clench.
Clench up real good.
What do I do with the key graphite? Huh?
Siri almost popped on and you were going to ask what you
Siri, tell me what to do with the key graphite.
Anyway.
I stick it in my pouch. Oh, explosive keg.
Please don't do that with the key graphite.
Hang on, explosive keg. Oh.
Put your explosive keg in the pouch.
Aim
it.
Oh, I picked it. Okay, so I have to... This was not very clearly explained, game. There was a couple steps between use a key and blow a thing up.
I think you're going to have to go in there and actually hold E like it was saying you had to.
No, I picked it up to do that. I think this is how video games always blow things up.
There you go.
Them's was some debris graphics.
What? Do you have any closing thoughts on that? Because we're coming to the end.
No, what? Is it?
This was a riveting game, apparently.
Well, I knew we weren't going to get through the tutorial, so we literally have nothing to comment on this. Are we really? Did we? I don't think we paid attention to when we actually started, though.
Well, but, I mean,
It was slightly after the hour. Well, okay,
and it's
so
slightly after the hour.
Well, okay. But I'd like to at least, I don't know.
If there's anything else you want to
that I don't know.
Unpack on that, or
I think I have not a whole lot of opinions because it isn't my kind of thing.
I was gonna relate it to populous growth in that I'm saying
I have no clue how you're gonna do that.
So just hide and watch.
Hide and watch. Okay. Ooh.
There's a thing.
Catfish dragon.
I was gonna say, okay, I agree with you now. I was gonna say something different until it zoomed up on that mug.
What do I call him?
Chester Snapdragons McFisticuffs.
What do I call him? No, we need some kind of a Cajun name.
Wow, now who's racist?
He's the Cajun Griffin. Bubba's too obvious.
Bubba.
Okay, so you're mad. Whoa. Okay, so you're not a friend. I thought this was like going to be my animal friend. Ooh. He's weird. You're weird. I don't want to kill you, though. I'm going to call you Razoo. Ah!
Razoo.
I don't want to hurt the Razoo.
That's
going to take forever
as
if I
rural
use that.
Towns become popularized cities that then end up getting, more and more people, heading to them and moving out, as does happen with rural areas.
Ow, he hurts.
It eventually becomes either suburb or main.
I don't like his predatory wobble.
Or main kind of city center, and with that, not only comes benefits with I'm
gonna die to the catfish man.
More resources and places to gather and things like that, but also comes with its
Bleaker thigh, Fexel essence.
That's what it's called, a Fexel.
Okay. Bleaker thigh. Okay, so the animal is called a bleaker because that got its thigh. But what's a Fexel essence? A soul-like fragment of a Fexel organism. But, okay. Well, it's saying it's both. This is its thigh, and it's calling it a bleaker. This is calling it a Fexel organism.
Call it a Fexel bleaker.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, bleaker but I'm just saying it's that a bit of the I want to move into a rural area because I want the benefits of rural, but then eventually it becomes urban, and then I have to deal with the benefits / negatives of that. So I think in the same way, the fact that it used to be niche and now it's not, the whole audiobook thing, it's like it definitely had its benefits in being kind of a less mainstream thing, because it was then able to be very, I don't know, there was less kind of...
I don't know what this is, but it looks like something I need to interact with.
There was less fodder that just kind of was loading the cannon, essentially, of pushing it out to the masses, whereas now as it's more popularized, it surely is a benefit, but it also comes with its fair share of challenges in that it's not going to be obviously as carefully crafted, because it's now come to the point that people are just pushing crap out. So there you go.
Well, I don't know. I feel like...
You want to talk about something other than this?
Well, no.
Even though I masterfully crafted that.
No, it's not that. It's more that I don't want to be... I just feel like we got so little done that we don't even have anything to say about the game other than it looks nice.
It looks nice, and you should battle some Fexel essences.
Yeah, and then I didn't even get a... Problem is, whenever we play one of these new things, all of the things that I think I'm going to say during the week, I'm like, I'll save that to talk about. It's gone. Because
write them down.
I do. It's not that I forget them. It's just that like I'm playing this, and that it's taking my attention, and then we apparently play for an hour when it doesn't feel like an hour, and then I'm done. I apparently have already...
You're almost dead, by the way.
Dead? Well, yes, that thing did me a number.
Well, eat something and see whether that helps.
I think I'm out of things I can eat. Oh, apparently not.
Nope, and that helped.
So this is where my people died, except they're all still alive.
And they're just looking longingly at the tree. What are we gonna do, Hugh?
So I met a weird yordle on a camel tentacle, and he saved my life. And I'm not going to unpack that context. I guess the
colony is in good hands. Bye now.
Oh, boy. All right, so I'll admit, I'm not...
It's not
wildly
an amazing game.
Well, it's pretty, but I'm not drawn.
No, it was fairly just... Yeah.